At 6:43 a.m. on March 1st, 1943, 19-year-old Janet Patricia Oak stood frozen over a chalk-marked linoleum floor in Liverpool, staring at the exact convoy simulation she'd just run and realizing it matched the massacre that had killed her brother 2 days earlier. Mathematics student, 8 months of wargaming, 0 admirals convinced, and 5,000 officers who needed retraining before September, or Britain would starve. If you're new here and you want real, immersive World War II stories that put you in the cockpit, in the trenches, and behind enemy lines, subscribe now. Most people scroll past history, but you're here to experience it. So hit subscribe and like the video. The mission's only just begun. In 47 minutes, this teenage girl, armed with nothing but chalk and a stopwatch, was about to prove that Royal Navy doctrine had been murdering British sailors for 3 years straight. And every admiral in the room had followed that doctrine perfectly, while convoys burned behind them. The telegram arrived on February 27th. HMS Hesperus, lost with all hands. Convoy SC-121. U-boat attack. No survivors. Her brother, Thomas, was 23 and destroyer officer, anti-submarine warfare specialist. 3 weeks earlier, he'd written her, "The tactics aren't working anymore. We keep losing ships no matter what we do." He'd been right. Convoy SC-121 left Halifax on February 15th. 59 merchant ships, 9 escort destroyers, perfect by-the-book formation. On February 24th, the Wolfpack found them, surface attack, night assault, coordinated pressure. The escorts responded exactly as doctrine demanded. Chase the U-boat, break off from the convoy, attack aggressively. By dawn, on February 26th, 13 merchant ships were sinking. 72,000 tons gone, 6 escorts damaged, and HMS Hesperus, Thomas's ship, took a torpedo while chasing a submarine that had already submerged and escaped. The destroyer broke in half and sank in 4 minutes. 117 sailors drowned in the North Atlantic because his ship left the convoy screen because doctrine ordered him to. And Janet had run that exact scenario 8 times in the pit. 8 simulations, 8 convoy massacres. She'd warned them. Captain Roberts agreed. They filed reports, calculations, mathematical models, all explaining why aggressive pursuit was killing convoys. The Admiralty threw it all out. Watu is experimental. Simulations aren't real combat. Experience matters more than chalk on the floor. And Thomas died following orders she had already proven were fatal. She'd been in the pit when the telegram arrived, mid-simulation, commanding U-boats against a convoy led by Lieutenant Morrison. She was winning again. Her lead U-boat had drawn escorts away. The gaps had opened, and the convoy was dying. Roberts stepped onto the floor, pulled her aside, and handed her the telegram. Casualty notices usually went to family homes, but Janet listed Derby House as her duty station, so the telegram came here, to the cold basement where she'd spent 8 months watching imaginary ships die. She read it. HMS Hesperus, lost with all hands. Thomas. Roberts asked if she needed time, if she wanted to leave, if she needed space to process it. Janet shook her head. No, I need to finish this simulation. She walked back to the plotting table, finished sinking Morrison's convoy, and then explained, with clinical precision, exactly why his tactics had killed 12 merchants in the simulation, and why the exact same tactics had killed her brother 2 days earlier. Morrison argued, said she didn't understand real combat, said you have to hunt submarines aggressively. Janet asked, "How many convoys have you lost using aggressive tactics?" Morrison stared at the floor. 4 convoys in 7 months. Janet said, quietly, "My brother died in the 5th.
Morrison didn't say another word. He just walked out. The same way every officer walked out once the math crushed their pride. Roberts told Janet she could take the rest of the day. She refused. There was still work to do. The pit was always cold. Derby House's basement had inadequate heating, condensation dripping down concrete walls like sweat. The floor was painted to represent 900 meters of the North Atlantic, a massive grid carved into linoleum. White chalk for escorts, black markers for U-boats, red pieces for torpedoed merchants. By March 1943, there were far too many red pieces. The Royal Navy was bleeding out. 63 ships lost in February alone. 342,000 tons sunk. Over 2,300 sailors drowned. At the current rate, Britain would run out of fuel by July, food by September. The war would be over because Germany starved Britain into surrender without ever setting foot on British soil. And at the center of this collapse was a single doctrine, a doctrine older than steam engines, older than radios, older than submarines. Aggressive offense wins naval battles. Hunt the enemy. Chase decisively. Force engagement. Destroy. It had worked at Trafalgar, worked against Napoleon, worked in World War I, because those enemies had surface fleets, ships you could see, chase, and corner. But U-boats weren't surface ships. U-boats could vanish beneath the waves, escape pursuit, reposition, and reappear miles away. And every time a British escort left the convoy to chase one, new gaps opened in the convoy screen. The Germans counted on this. They engineered it. A lead U-boat would deliberately expose itself, lure escorts away, and the rest of the wolf pack would swarm through the hole. It was mathematically elegant, tactically brilliant, brutally effective. And British escorts fell for it every single time, because doctrine commanded them to. Janet had no naval experience, no tradition, no preconceived assumptions, just mathematics, logic, and 8 months of watching simulations prove that aggressive pursuit guaranteed convoy massacres. She'd arrived at Watu in July 1942, straight out of school, high marks in mathematics, exceptional geometric reasoning. Teachers said she saw patterns other students never noticed. She applied to the WRNS, wanting to help the war effort. They asked about stress tolerance, calculations, whether she could think under pressure. 3 weeks later, she reported to Derby House, to a unit she'd never heard of. Western Approaches Tactical Unit, WATU. Classified, secret, doesn't officially exist. Captain Gilbert Roberts briefed her himself. The mission: develop new tactics through full-scale floor simulations. Test every variable. Time everything with stopwatches. Attack with realism. Analyze with mathematics. The Wren operators, the girls, would play the U-boats. Royal Navy officers would command the convoys. The goal? Find tactics that kept convoys alive. Roberts was clear. The wrens were chosen precisely because they weren't sailors. They didn't have 20 years of naval assumptions in their heads. They didn't carry tradition. They saw the board the way the Germans did. Fresh, objective, mathematical. Experienced officers kept making the same mistakes because experience had taught them the wrong lessons. Janet was assigned the role of U-boat commander. Her job was simple: sink convoys. Sink them brutally. Sink them mathematically. Sink them the way real German wolf packs were doing it in the Atlantic. Her first game was July 15, 1942. A 40-ship convoy, 6 escort destroyers, standard formation. Commander Harrison, 32 years at sea, Jutland veteran, took charge of the escorts. Janet commanded 4 U-boats. She'd spent the last 3 days studying captured German tactical manuals, learning shadowing patterns, surface night attacks, wolfpack encirclements. The simulation began. Harrison deployed in a wide screen, textbook doctrine, overlapping search patterns, aggressive posture. It looked solid until Janet spotted the timing. She exposed her lead U-boat just long enough to be noticed. Exactly as doctrine demanded, 2 escorts broke off immediately. Engines roaring into pursuit. Depth charges, star shells, aggressive chase. Her lead U-boat dove and slipped away. For 18 minutes, those 2 escorts hunted a ghost. And during those 18 minutes, Janet's other 3 U-boats cut straight through the holes they left behind. Inside the convoy screen, they began killing. By the time the escorts returned, 6 merchant.
At 5:47 a.m. on August 8, 1941, 24-year-old Lyudmila Pavlinchenko crouched behind a stack of rubble in Belaya Tserkov, Ukraine, watching a German sniper prepare to kill the Soviet soldier hiding 40 meters to her left. History student, 4 months in the Red Army, 0 confirmed kills, 309 to go. The Wehrmacht had sent 3 full divisions to take Odessa, 150,000 German soldiers advancing. Soviet forces were outnumbered 3-1, and Lyudmila had just volunteered to become a sniper in a unit losing soldiers faster than they could train them. She'd been on the front lines for 6 hours, no sleep, no food, just her Mosin Nagant rifle, 40 rounds of ammunition, and a death wish wrapped in patriotic fury. Her university in Kiev had been bombed 11 days earlier, 73 students killed. Her professor, Dr. Anatoly Vulov, buried under rubble for 2 hours before they dragged out his body. Her best friend Natasha died in the library. Fire consumed the building. Natasha couldn't get out. Lyudmila enlisted the next morning. The recruiting officer told her to become a nurse. Women belonged in medical units, not infantry. Lyudmila told him she'd been shooting since she was 14. Marksman scores in the youth shooting club, top tier in regional competitions. The officer laughed. Shooting targets wasn't combat. Combat was blood, screams, death. Women couldn't handle it. Lyudmila told him to test her. The officer handed her a rifle and pointed at a fence post 100 meters away. She put 5 rounds through the center. The officer stopped laughing. She was assigned to the 25th Rifle Division as a sniper. That was 4 months ago. Now she was in Ukraine watching Germans kill her comrades, and she still hadn't taken her first shot. The German sniper was 280 meters away, positioned behind a destroyed farmhouse wall. Lyudmila could see the top of his helmet through a crack in the masonry. He was tracking the Soviet soldier, waiting for him to move.
The soldier was Sergeant Dmitry Kravchenko, 32 years old, married, 2 children. Ludmila had met him yesterday. He'd shared his bread with her when she hadn't eaten in 18 hours. Now he was about to die because he didn't know a German was aiming at him. Ludmila raised her rifle. Her hands were steady, her breathing controlled. Her instructor's voice echoed in her head. Don't think about killing. Think about solving a problem. Distance, wind, movement. It's mathematics, not murder. 280 meters, light crosswind from the west, target stationary. She adjusted for windage, settled the crosshairs in the crack where the German helmet showed. Her finger touched the trigger. This was the moment that would define everything. Either she could kill, or she couldn't. Either she was a soldier, or she was a student pretending to be one. She squeezed. The Mosin kicked against her shoulder. The sound cracked across the battlefield. Through the scope, she saw the German helmet jerk backward, then disappear. Kravchenko looked around, confused, didn't know what happened. Ludmila cambered another round and scanned for threats. Nothing moved. She had just killed her first German soldier. She felt nothing. No guilt, no satisfaction. Only the immediate question, where's the next one? That was August 8th, 1941. By May 1942, Ludmila Pavlichenko would have 309 confirmed kills, including 36 enemy snipers. She would become the deadliest female sniper in history. And the crazy trick that made it possible was something Soviet doctrine explicitly forbade. She used herself as bait. The first sniper Ludmila lost was Lieutenant Anna Morozova, August 19, 1941. Morozova had been a sniper for 8 months, 47 confirmed kills, experienced, smart, by the book. Soviet sniper doctrine was clear. Never expose your position. Find concealment, take your shot. Move immediately to a secondary position. Never stay in one place more than 30 minutes. Never fire more than 3 shots from one location. Never engage without a clean exit route. Morozova followed every rule. She positioned herself in a bombed-out apartment building, 3rd floor, excellent sight lines, 2 exit routes. She engaged a German machine gun crew at 320 meters. 1 shot, 1 kill. Then moved to her secondary position on the 2nd floor. Waited 20 minutes. Engaged a German officer at 280 meters. Clean kill. She began moving to her 3rd position on the ground floor. A German sniper shot her through the stairwell window. Single round to the chest. She died before medics arrived. The German sniper had tracked her first shot, predicted her movement pattern, and positioned himself to intercept. Morozova never saw him. The man who killed her was Hans Becker, Wehrmacht's sniper, 89 confirmed kills, specialist in counter-sniper operations. He hunted Soviet snipers the way Ludmila hunted German soldiers. Becker's pattern was consistent. Wait for Soviet snipers to engage, track their positions, anticipate their movements, and kill them when they relocate. Soviet doctrine made his job easier. If you followed the rules, you were predictable. If you were predictable, you were dead. The second sniper Ludmila lost was Corporal Viktor Stepanov, August 27th, 19 years old, sniper for 6 weeks. 11 confirmed kills. Good kid, eager to prove himself. He set up in a drainage ditch 400 meters from German lines. Perfect concealment, good sight lines, textbook positioning. At dawn, He engaged a German patrol. 2 shots, 2 kills. Germans scattered and took cover. Stepanov followed doctrine, stayed low, waited 15 minutes, prepared to move to his secondary position. A German artillery shell landed directly in his ditch. Nothing left to bury. The Germans had called in artillery based on where they believed the sniper was hiding. Standard counter-sniper tactic. Observe the shot, estimate location, saturate the area with explosives. Stepanov's concealment was perfect, his accuracy excellent, his discipline flawless. He died anyway because the Germans knew exactly how Soviet snipers operated. By September, Ludmila had watched 7 snipers die. Every single one had followed doctrine. Every single one died because they were predictable. German counter-sniper units were too good. They knew Soviet tactics, Soviet positioning, Soviet movement patterns. Fighting by the book meant dying by the book. Ludmila studied each engagement. Same pattern every time. Soviet sniper takes position, engages target. Germans triangulate the shot. Counter-sniper or artillery responds. Soviet sniper dies or retreats. The issue wasn't marksmanship. Soviet snipers could shoot. The issue was that they fought defensively. They waited for targets. They reacted. They followed doctrine. They never initiated, never controlled the engagement, never made the Germans react to them. German snipers, especially the experienced ones like Becker, hunted actively. They created targets. They forced Soviet snipers to expose themselves, then killed them. Ludmila needed to reverse the dynamic. Stop being prey. Become predator. But Soviet doctrine was explicit. Concealment is survival. Exposure is death. Never compromise your position. Never give the enemy a target. The doctrine made sense in theory. In practice, it was a death sentence. German counter-snipers were too skilled. They could find you even when you were perfectly concealed.